In this video, I'll show you May 25, 2018. 20-year-old Philadelphia resident Emily Weinman was sitting with a friend on a beach in Wildwood, New Jersey when she was approached by Officer Thomas Cannon and Officer Robert Jordan of the Wildwood Police Department. Both officers were Class II Special Law Enforcement officers, which, as the Wildwood PD's website explains, are temporary officers brought on to assist with the tourist population during the summer months, with most special law enforcement officers being college students earning credits towards their degree through the program. After approaching Miss Weinman, Officer Cannon and Officer Jordan began to question her about some unopened bottles of alcoholic twisted teas that were sitting beside a cooler near.
So your parents?
My aunt.
Oh, your aunt's? Where's your aunt at?
On her way. She left, she's coming back.
So she's coming back? Cool. Do me a favor. Take a deep breath and blow into that, alright? Alright, do me a favor. Try one more time. Deep breath. Don't go so far in.
Is there a staring problem? Mind your business.
Bus 63, we're 10-8.
Alright, where's your aunt at? You have her phone number?
What?
How old are you?
I know that didn't come up positive. I didn't take a drink of anything, so.
Alright, yo guys, even if it's your aunt, she is of age.
Is she of age?
Yeah, how old is she? Like 40?
No, like 40. Man, this is moving.
Alright, go grab her real quick. We're gonna have them pour that all out.
How are you going to let us go if we didn't even drink alcohol?
Well, where's your aunt at?
You're allowed to carry alcohol.
That's interesting.
You're underage. You are. You're not allowed to drink it, and we did not
Open
drink it.
display on the beach.
What?
It's possession consumption.
It's not open.
Open display means you.
What do you mean? That doesn't mean
You can see it,
anything.
yes.
Okay, you can see it, and we're not drinking.
5043. Go ahead with Ellis Kellinger in the beach.
The officers informed Miss Weinman that it is illegal for underage individuals to have alcohol in their possession and in public view on the beach, even if they do not consume them, and this is an accurate statement of the applicable law. Section 2, C-33-15 of the New Jersey statutes makes it a non-criminal disorderly persons offense for a person under the age of 21 to knowingly possess without legal authority or knowingly consume an alcoholic beverage in a public place. Similarly, Section 4-1.2 of Wildwood Municipal Code states that, quote, "It shall be a violation of this section for any person to commit any of the following acts on the beach, boardwalk, or boardwalk approaches during the months of May, June, July, August, and September of each year. Openly display, expose, or dispense or offer to dispense or to consume any beer, wine, whiskey, or other alcoholic beverages." However, it is possible that a court would find that Miss Weinman did not have the twisted teas in her possession, as they allegedly belonged to her aunt and were simply nearby the location where she was sitting. In general, an individual can be charged with a possession-based offense if they have actual or, quote, UN, quote, constructive possession of an object. As the Supreme Court of New Jersey explained in the 2006 case of State v. Morrison, quote, "A person has actual possession of an object when he has physical or manual control of it. Alternatively, a person has constructive possession of an object when, although he lacks physical or manual control, the circumstances permit a reasonable inference that he has knowledge of its presence and intends, and has the capacity to exercise physical control or dominion over it during a span of time." If the twisted teas did belong to Miss Weinman's aunt, and Miss Weinman had not carried them or otherwise exerted physical control over them and did not intend to do so, Miss Weinman would have a strong argument that she did not possess any alcoholic beverages. However, the court would likely agree that the officers at least had the reasonable suspicion necessary to detain Miss Weinman, both to investigate whether she was underage and in possession of alcohol. And because the beverages were openly displayed in violation of the local ordinance,
15-month-old daughter over there?
Yeah, you're not cooperating. Yeah.
I didn't disrespect you. I didn't do anything to get written up, did I?
Now you're causing the scene. You want it? Alright, I'll give you one more chance to give me your last name.
Just be cooperative.
Lock me up.
Okay.
You can't lock me up. I didn't disrespect you.
Okay.
And you don't need to write my name down either because I didn't disrespect you. I didn't do anything to you. You're mad because we thought we were drinking.
Alright, I'll give you one. Okay. First of all, you're in possession. Where's your aunt at then?
She's on her way.
Okay, what's your last
You
name?
could wait here. That's like you wasted your time coming over here. You could wait here for her.
Okay.
The officers ask Miss Wyman to provide her last name and threaten to arrest her for obstruction if she does not comply with their demands, but she refuses and claims that she has not broken any laws. Although New Jersey does not have a stop and identify statute that would require Miss Wyman to identify herself to the officers, Section 2C33-15 of the New Jersey statutes, which is the underage alcohol possession statute we discussed earlier, does subject underage individuals who possess or consume alcohol to certain penalties, including a written warning issued by a law enforcement officer to the underage person for first-time offenders. Now, quoting the written warning shall include the person's name, address, and date of birth, and a copy of the warning containing this information, plus a sworn statement that includes a description of the relevant facts and circumstances that support the officer's determination that the person committed the violation. Therefore, it is possible that the officers were attempting to identify Miss Wyman in order to write this written warning or check her record for previous violations, which subjects her to additional penalties. However, Miss Wyman likely could not be found guilty of obstruction for simply refusing to provide her last name. According to Section 2C29-1 of the New Jersey statutes, quote, a person commits an offense if he purposely obstructs, impairs, or perverts the administration of law or other governmental function, or prevents or attempts to prevent a public servant from lawfully performing an official function by means of flight, intimidation, force, violence, or physical interference or obstacle, or by means of any independently. Unlawful act, as the Appellate Division of the Superior Court of New Jersey explained in the 2005 case of State v. Camilo, quote, simply obstructing, impairing, or perverting the administration of law or the governmental function is no longer a statutory violation. The obstruction must be carried out in a manner described in the statute. The court then concluded that an individual could not be convicted of obstruction for refusing to provide his name, date of birth, and social security number because, quote, he did not physically interfere with Trooper Dykeman. What he did was refuse to do it. Information the trooper required to complete his incident report. While defendant's actions may in fact have in a real sense obstructed the trooper from preparing his report, that conduct, in the absence of physical interference, is not a violation. For this reason, it is highly unlikely that Miss Wyman could be convicted of obstruction for refusing to give her name. Said, I'm done with you. Do you have cuffs on you? No, man. Get over here, don't talk to me. Yo, don't touch me. You're about to get dropped. Yo, don't touch me, man. Don't get over here. What are you doing? Don't. After briefly chasing Miss Wyman a short distance across the beach, she turns around and shoves the officer before being thrown to the ground. Miss Wyman immediately begins resisting the officers and calling out to her nearby friends. At some point during the scuffle, one of the officers punches Miss Wyman in the head several times before managing to restrain her.
Oh my God! I didn't do anything wrong! I wasn't drinking anything! Just smell it!
It wasn't even open, bro.
You shook me off! I can't believe you did that! Get off of me!
One in custody.
Don't stare unless you're gonna help! You need to get the you white piece of trash! Ew! Oh yeah, now we got these young cops who don't know how to treat people! I'm gonna talk to Captain as if he will get too.
Good, I hope you do.
Yeah, I will! dirtball. No. Who are you?
You're all running cops.
Keep your mouth shut before you get locked up too. Alright? Don't be stupid.
What? No, tell me why you put it in the ground. Bro, she didn't even open the can.
Listen to me. Listen to me.
Nothing was open. No open
Now's not the
containers.
time to argue this, okay? Number one, you got a baby in your hand. Okay? So you take my baby.
That's my girlfriend.
You got a baby. Worry about her, not your girlfriend. You can get that straightened out later.
Ms. Weinman's boyfriend criticizes the officers for their decision to punch Ms. Weinman during the confrontation. It is undisputed that
Officers are entitled to use reasonable force to execute an arrest or detention. As the Supreme Court explained in the 1989 case of Graham versus Connor, quote, "Our Fourth Amendment jurisprudence has long recognized that the right to make an arrest or investigatory stop necessarily carries with it the right to use some degree of physical coercion or threat thereof to effect it." According to the National Institute of Justice, most law enforcement agencies have policies that recognize a, quote, "use of force continuum," and, quote, describe an escalating series of actions an officer may take to resolve a situation. This continuum generally has many levels, and officers are instructed to respond with a level of force appropriate to the situation at hand, acknowledging that the officer may move from one part of the continuum to another in a matter of seconds. In some situations, a closed fist punch is considered an appropriate method of control or restraint and a constitutional use of force. A closed fist punch is a type of, quote, UN, quote, empty hand control where officers use bodily force alone to restrain a citizen and is a dude level escalation in a typical use of force continuum. Kicks and punches are known as, quote, UN, quote, hard techniques and are considered a step above the soft, empty hand techniques such as grabs, holds, and joint locks on the use of force continuum. It is difficult to predict whether a court would conclude that punching Miss Weinman was an excessive use of force or if it was constitutionally valid, as the legal analysis is highly circumstantial. For instance, in the 2009 case of Husbands versus City of New York, the Second Circuit held that, as a matter of law, a single punch to the torso of an individual who was resisting being put in handcuffs did not rise to the level of excessive force. But in the 2013 case of Martinez versus Snyder, the District Court of Delaware held that a reasonable jury could conclude that punching an individual in the face hard enough to fracture her orbital bone was excessive and not reasonable under the circumstances. The court explained that while the suspect did resist arrest, quote, "It is unclear whether it was necessary for Williams to punch her in the face in order to effect arrest." A jury could find that plaintiff, a female of small size, did not appear to be intoxicated, possessed no weapons, was held down on the ground by both. Defendants had only one hand free and did not seem to be trying to seriously injure defendants. Because whether a punch constitutes excessive force substantially depends on a jury or judge's discretion and interpretation of the facts, it is possible that the decision could go either way.
All you do is just punch her in her face, though.
Yeah, well, she tried kicking us, so that's it.
She didn't kick her.
Yeah, she did.
He's just recorded it.
I go to... Yeah, it's fine. I go to stop her for LO, for underage drinking. She said she's 20. She had twisted tees. She wouldn't give me her last name. So I said, hey, if you're not going to give me your information, you're going to be locked up. She tried walking away from me. When she tried walking away from me, I tried grabbing her. She tried kicking at us, so we slammed her on the ground. She kicked him. And then I hit her a couple times, and then I put her in cuffs.
Miss Weinman was placed under arrest and transported to the Wildwood Police Station. She was charged with disorderly conduct, resisting arrest, and obstruction, all of which are disorderly persons offenses and not crimes. A bystander on the beach had filmed part of the confrontation and shared the video on social media, leading to an international outcry about the officer's conduct. After the footage went viral, Miss Weinman was charged with several criminal offenses, including 2 counts of aggravated assault, throwing bodily fluids in the 3rd degree, resisting arrest in the 3rd degree, and hindering apprehension in the 4th degree. However, Ms. Weinman eventually pled guilty to a single charge of disorderly conduct, which is a petty disorderly persons offense. The Cape May County Prosecutor's Office conducted an investigation into whether Officers Cannon and Jordan used excessive force when arresting Ms. Weinman and determined that there was insufficient evidence to warrant criminal charges. However, on October 14, 2019, Ms. Weinman filed a federal lawsuit against the officers and the city of Wildwood, and in November of 2020, the city agreed to pay a $320 $5,000 settlement. Overall, the Wildwood Special Law Enforcement officers get an F because although the officers likely had reasonable suspicion to investigate Ms. Weinman, they baselessly threatened to arrest her for obstruction, failed to employ any measure of de-escalation, and used a disproportionate degree of force to subdue Ms. Weinman. The Wildwood Special Officers were well within their authority to approach Ms. Weinman and detain her under the suspicion that she was openly displaying alcohol on the beach. However, considering that New Jersey is not a stop and identify state, Ms. Weinman was not obligated to present her identification until the officers acquired probable cause and arrested or cited her. Instead of waiting a reasonable amount of time to investigate whether Ms. Weinman's claims were true, the officer decided to arrest her for refusing to provide her last name. It is clear from the body camera footage that the primary arresting officer was frustrated with Ms. Weinman's attitude, and this is likely why the officer failed to consider the disparity of force that existed between himself and Ms. Weinman. Standard protocol in any use of force situation generally considers the physical characteristics of the suspect, such as age, size, gender, and apparent strength, and it is clear that the two special officers had a distinct physical advantage over Ms. Weinman. This is likely why the city of Wildwood agreed to the settlement. Ms. Weinman also gets an F. For failing to invoke her right to remain silent, refusing to comply with the lawful orders of the officers, and for physically attacking one of the officers as he approached her. As mentioned on many episodes of ATA, resisting an arrest is never a good idea, regardless of the circumstances, and it is much more productive to fight your battle for justice in the courtroom, not on the street. The body camera footage clearly shows Ms. Weinman shoving the officer just before she's taken down, and footage from other bystanders shows her continuing to resist. While on the ground at numbered point during the interaction, did Ms. Weinman invoke her right to remain silent, and she refused to obey several lawful commands while maintaining a hostile and condescending demeanor. All that said, nothing that Ms. Weinman did justified the level of force that the Wildwood Special Officers employed. While I do commend Ms. Weinman for following up this interaction with the proper legal action, I would caution other citizens in a similar situation to remain as calm and compliant as possible while verbally invoking the right to remain silent. Thank you very much for watching the video. Subscribe our channel for next video.